Beach. I'm Ruth-Ann. I'm the owner of Exclusive Collections Gallery, and I know a lot of you folks know me. I miss all of you. We have been really excited because the governor is starting to loosen the reins here in California. So we're getting ready actually to start by appointment only. So that will begin tomorrow. And if you come to our gallery, we'll be letting you in. You know, we obviously can't let everybody in at the same time, but the gallery is large enough that we can definitely practice social distancing very safely. Of course, we're going to require masks. We will have masks on as well. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and postpone the Friday show because we will hopefully be busy here with folks. And then I'll be putting up a message on Monday how often we'll be streaming, depending on if everything goes as planned. We shouldn't have to shut down again. So exciting times. I know you've all been waiting, and I really wanted to just give a shout out to all you folks who have been watching and sharing these episodes, because it's been really important for the artists, not only for me as a gallerist, but for the artists to have that encouragement. And you folks have really brought that. So thank you again. I know some of the artists like Michael Floor, Todd White, Roy Tabora, Paul Lotz. Many of our artists that have been on the show have been emailing me saying what a shot in the arm that was to just get the feedback from you folks. So today I have a very special guest and a dear friend of mine, someone who impacted me as a young art consultant in the early 80s and has been really the forerunner of the arts, specifically out of the Hawaiian Islands. And he was the very first one. I know you folks have seen it if you've traveled. Even if you haven't traveled, this artist really kind of set the world on fire, quite frankly. He created a style that was so unique and really spoke to the beauty of nature and showed the ocean in a way that nobody else had seen it. And he was the originator of what was called the two worlds. And that artist is Robert Lyn Nelson. So I am so pleased to bring him on the show today, because sometimes within art and within styles and genre, there's certain styles that come on the scene that people just are so excited about, and then all of a sudden it starts a whole new art movement. And that's exactly what this artist did, is he started a movement, and you're going to recognize it immediately. You probably already know who I'm talking about. But also you'll see there were many artists that were so inspired by his work that they too took a little bit of a page out of his book and started taking that same style and then doing other things that were very much from this person's creative genius. So let me see if I can get Robert here on the stream. Hello, Robert. Can you hear me? Let's see if we lost his Okay, you're there now. I had muted you. I apologize. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ruth-Ann. I'm so happy to be here. It's so good to see you.
And likewise.
You look fantastic.
Thank you. And so do you. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Well, I think it's being around all this creativity, including yours. And then also the good wine. I always am giving a plug for the wine. Absolutely.
We go back for it a long time. I shouldn't say the number, but
we do. We go back 30 years at least, which is.
And you were with Images International in Honolulu.
That's right. And you were one of the very first artists that I was exposed to.
Yes. Thank you for what you said. I appreciate it so much.
So why don't you just share, the viewers, I've got people streaming that absolutely know who you are and are giving out little shout outs, but why don't you share a little bit for the folks that maybe are a little bit younger, that haven't traveled to Hawaii or haven't been exposed to your genre, how this all started. And I know you said you moved to Hawaii in the 70s.
I moved to Hawaii I was 18. And I'd only come to stay a month. And I was supposed to go to the San Francisco Academy of Art, and I could not leave. I felt so at home here. I actually came to surf big waves at the time, but I was, painting nonstop throughout my childhood. I'd already gone to college for 4 years before I came here.
Okay.
And I was ready for a break from high school and college at the same time at the time. But the time just slipped by, and I fell in love with Hawaii in every way.
It's easy to do. I did too when I lived there.
Easy. The rainbows, the ocean, the nature, the history. It's all fascinating. It's all beautiful.
And what was the first subject matter that you were creating, earlier before you did Two Worlds?
I actually related to whaling. I came to Lahaina to illustrate 19th century whaling, which was Lahaina, a capital in the 19th century.
Right.
So I was doing things with historical things, with whale ships and whalers and men and harpoons, and then one day I was surfing, to make a long story short, and I was already painting whales, but not underwater. And a group of them came up to us while surfing, and I got a good look at one. And I thought, why aren't people painting those? Nobody had painted the animals themselves. So I did one, and it was just underwater. And I did those for a few years, things just underwater. And then I came up with the idea of adding the land in 1979. And that's when it really took off as a genre very, very quickly.
Right.
Sort of all over the world within months from that painting. And I have a copy of the very first.
Oh boy, let's see it.
Painting here. This is from 1980. This was the very first one.
Wow, that brings back a lot of memories. That's great.
It's Lahaina and a sunrise, and this is the one that sort of changed everything and became this thing which I call environmental surrealism. Not really realistic, but close to it. And this brought awareness to the undersea world like nothing else.
I remember this, the style that you created, and we had your work at Images, and then it probably wasn't maybe 2 or 3 years, not even that now then we just saw all these other artists so inspired by what you had done. Weiland obviously, really started taking, what you had done and putting his own twist on it, but doing the big murals, and then Christian Lassen and a whole host of others that I could name. But really, it really couldn't touch what you were doing, because even though they had beautiful work, you had such a unique style, and you still do. And what I noticed with your work was the intricacy of the work, not only the actual subject matter, but the quality of what you were doing. Everything was so detailed. And that's what I've always loved about your work.
Thank you. I was always inspired by an artist named Andrew Wyeth. And
sure.
I wanted, my silent ambition was to be the Andrew Wyeth of the undersea world. So I took everything to the limit as far as detail. I love the crispness of it. And
absolutely. So that was kind of your legacy, your thumbprint back then on the art world. But I know how creative you are. I've been to your studio, and I'll tell you what, I've never been into an artist studio that has such creativity in so many different styles. I mean, you have abstract, you have beautiful figurative. I've seen some of your Native American work.
I like to explore things in different styles and techniques and subject matter. I don't want to be limited to any one thing. And actually, I've always done, from a kid and in school, I was constantly exploring and doing different things always. the marine art just became so popular. It was sort of, for a little while, it was all people saw. Um, but I've always been an explorer. I consider myself an academic who had some commercial success, but I love art history and going back in time and exploring some other artists' techniques and subject matters, and trying to do it in my own way. But lately it's been more and more surrealism. And
Okay.
I've been doing this series on the Beatles and all sorts of other things with cubism and abstractions, and just having fun every day, doing something different every day, Ruth-Ann.
I know you're just, you've got so much creativity in you. And I think that's another thing that is really impressive about you just as an artist is, you have artists that they create things, but, nothing, not to, downplay it, but in a way, it's kind of like an artist, just like a musician can be stuck in a certain genre and almost become like, I call it a one-hit wonder, where it's the same thing over and over. And it's nice, but there's no growth within that. And one of the things I've seen in you is there's so much creativity boiled up in you that you just cannot help but express it all day, every day. So why don't you share a little bit about how that feels to be have so much within you to create?
Oh, gosh, I just go to work every day. And one idea leads to another. I'm constantly painting. I paint day and night. I call it the day shift and the night shift. I take a few hours and take a break and then go back and paint another 6 or so hours at night after painting all day. I'm just obsessed with it. I really don't know why, Ruth-Ann. I have been since I was a kid. I'm always inspired by Picasso, and I always go back to him. I saw a show of his when I was 13 in LA growing up, and I'm just so inspired by all his different styles and subject matters. And on he's been my inspiration.
I can see that.
Just the incredible variety, and I'm doing that in my own way, and I have done that. A lot of homages and things about Cubism and Picasso.
Well, let's take a look at what some of your Beatles works, because I know they've been incredibly well received, and you have a whole new collector base that are just crazy over these. Of course, it's very iconic, but let's see your spin on it.
This one is called Come Together.
Okay, I'm going to minimize the screen here.
Kind of appropriate for the time we live in at the moment. We, as a country and a world, really need to come together. But this is a famous song by the Beatles, and there are many other songs sort of intertwined in it. And,
is there any way we can get a little closer so the folks can see some of the detail in here? See if she can bring.
Deanna can help with that.
Okay, perfect.
It's my daughter Sienna helping me, who's a great artist, up and coming artist.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Long and winding road as piano keys. George Harrison's song called The Inner Light. Above, it's Across the Universe, another wonderful song. We have Dolly actually right here as a violin. You see the mustache, and these are John Lennon's glasses. And there's all sorts of references in here to songs. This is Blue Jay Way, George Harrison song, and Strawberry Fields, and Glass Onion over there, and Lady Madonna. Just things that pop up, and there's things hidden here, like you see the letter L-O-V-E, and the L-O-V-E hidden in the buildings in the distance. But this is one of the more recent ones.
Oh, I love that. And I love again, you just, your attention to detail is like no other, really.
Thank you, Ruth-Ann. I sure try hard.
I know you do. And I think your work has just grown over the years.
God, I hope so. Or why do it? Really, if I was repeating myself, I wouldn't be at all happy. And I'm very happy at the moment. exploring. I've never been happier as far as my work.
So how's the COVID thing affected you? I mean, I know you work all the time at home, so that probably hasn't changed, but I know you're also incredibly intuitive and spiritual. How are you feeling about the whole thing? What is your thoughts on it?
Oh God, I'm devastated for the 83,000 Americans who've lost their lives. It's just unbelievable. But it hasn't affected Maui too much. Only 120 cases, I think, on Maui, and 7 deaths. And it's not too bad. We've been hiding out and staying home, and my life really hasn't changed. I always have been a solitary painter. So it really doesn't.
I was smiling because I was just thinking, no wonder they're not letting us come to the islands.
Yeah,
they don't want anybody there.
Yeah, it's been amazing the job they've done with stopping the virus in Hawaii. It's the governors, the mayors, the people staying home. It's incredible.
Yes.
I hope it's over soon. It's just I can't believe it.
I think it's on the decline. So that's the main thing. Well, I agree with you. I mean, it's been a really sad time for a lot of all of us in one way or another. But your art has really, I see the inspiration in the work for people's lives, especially that last piece you just did. I mean, that would be a window to just reflect on everything you need right now.
Time for the planet to come together as one.
That's right. And let's see this piece here.
This is another Beatles piece called Revolution. And this is actually the LA suburbs down below. But I just wanted to do something electrical, a lightning storm and thunder and a white piano that like John Lennon used to sing Imagine. Just another sort of unusual idea, trying to explore new directions and dimensions.
Gorgeous.
I'm going to put another one up. This is called Norwegian Wood. And it's another soft, beautiful Beatles song. Black and white, with a little bit of sepia and the little bit of brown in the John Lennon guitar.
I love your black and white. I don't think I've seen a whole lot of that, but
I haven't done too much black and white. I'm doing more and more, though. I'm doing a lot of abstractions in black and white. But you see the tree growing out of the neck of the guitar, and there's actually a funny six-eyed cat here with his mouth open.
Oh, that's so great.
And the trees are evolving into clouds and having fun with surrealism and dreams and interpreting these great songs.
And when you come up with these ideas, is it just as you're painting, or do you muse about it? What is your process when you're taking that creative thought and bringing it onto the canvas?
Gosh, I think about a violin and I think about a butterfly. I don't know. The ideas just come. I look at things. I'm influenced by the songs. I'm influenced by Dolly, nature, playing with different ideas that hopefully haven't been done before.
Okay.
This one's called Good Night, and it's a sort of an obscure Ringo song. And it's almost better when I don't explain them. Hopefully,
there's so much you could extract. I think everybody viewing would have a different narrative on your work.
Truly, Ruth-Ann.
And that's the beauty of your work, is you just kind of enter into this window of another reality, and then you can explore there. And I feel when I look at your work, especially these new pieces, I feel that you're not confined to any thought or space. You're just almost floating into this other world, which is amazing.
Oh, thank you, Ruth-Ann. I'm having a lot of fun, like I said earlier. Um, I think over here.
What a treat to see all of these beautiful works.
This isn't the Beatles, but it's a statement about climate change and the Amazon rainforest. This is something brand new that hasn't been shown at all. Just another surreal picture, nothing to do with the Beatles, but just the balloons elevating the and celebrating the rainforest. Remember last year it was burning,
Right.
and without the rainforest as a planet, we're in bigger trouble than we're already in.
That's another thing that I think folks maybe they don't know about you is that you are a very much an environmentalist, and I see on your posts that you really are an advocate for the world, for the planet.
Have been ever since I read a book when I was 16 called Silent Spring by Rachel Carson. Always a major concern and always giving back to nonprofit groups.
I know that you're a big supporter of nonprofit groups, but what are your thoughts on everything being shut down? And the planet has actually been healing itself.
It's
I don't know if
healing.
you noticed it, but
Incredible.
it's amazing.
I love it. How quickly as well. That's the only great thing about this. To see the animals coming back and just everything about it. The sky clearing up and China and just things we've never seen. What do you think about it?
I think, well, one of the things I thought was so great was, they shut down the zoo in China and they had those two pandas there. I don't know if you knew about that.
Oh, yes.
They couldn't get to, mate.
That's right.
And then everybody was gone. And then, they were like, finally, some privacy around here.
I heard that.
And then hopefully we'll have some baby pandas soon. So I thought that was just amazing. And then I don't know if you saw that video that went viral with all the animals all around the world that were starting to come back into areas that humans had taken over. And I thought that was so touching.
So touching. Amazing.
So, I agree with you. I mean, I've always said, my dad's watching right now, is that,
yes.
Hi, Dad.
Hi, Dad.
Henry Rodriguez, folks. He's on the live stream. As Native Americans, we've always said that Mother Earth isn't going to go away. We may not be here, but the planet will definitely figure out a way of healing itself. So I've always seen that in your work, and it's been really great. So that piece that you just showed us is wow.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. There's
so beautiful.
Beat in it as well.
I love that. Love it. So, I was wondering I don't know if you have any of your abstracts there close by, because I thought it'd be interesting for folks to see your range. Because here's the thing, folks. Robert's work is really detailed and really tight. And most artists that I've known and I've worked with that have that precision cannot create abstract, because abstract it's like, one side of being very much a technical master and then being able to let loose and let all that go.
I'm enjoying it so much. And
that's tricky. So let's see some of those. I'm going to minimize my screen here. And if you want to bring up an abstract.
Deanna's bringing a big one.
Look at that.
This is called Consonants of Color. And again, I'm trying to do abstracts in different ways that I haven't seen people do. And I'm just exploring different ways of seeing. I love to loosen up. I go for days and nights painting detail, and then I need a break. And I have these ideas. I see shapes and colors in my head, so I need to get them down.
it's really incredible. And I see a little bit of a Cubist influence in there as well.
Truly, yeah. There's always that.
And the beauty of abstract is, that's something that everybody really can explore and, create their own feelings and stories about. That's what I love about great abstract work.
Here's a smaller one. This is called Seeking Eloquence, and it's oil.
Gorgeous.
Thank you, Ruth-Ann.
So you're showing now in Lahaina galleries, which Jim Killett is my dear friend and your dear friend, and people can go to. Oh my gosh, look at that!
Yeah, this is. I don't do much under the water, but I wanted to do something simple and serene and beautiful, rather than focusing on endangered species. Just show what it looks like down there when you first pop your head down and you look at the bottom. This is how most divers see it, or snorkelers.
That is stunning.
Just trying to capture the feeling of it. But thank you.
That would be a piece that you could look at that every single day of your life and explore so many different emotions, because it almost feels like the sky, looking when you feel the sky coming through the clouds, and there's just so many emotions that evokes from me just looking at it.
Are you a diver? Thank you.
Does putting a little snorkel mask on count?
That counts.
That's my limit to diving.
So
I'd like to do it though.
You've seen this view though, when you put your head under.
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
Oh, just stunning. That's probably one of my favorite new, series that I've seen that you've been exploring. I love that.
Thank you. It is a series. There's quite a few of them. And they've been pretty well received with the galleries. There are quite a few, Ruth-Ann.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
We'll send you some.
That'd be great. Why don't you share with the folks a little bit about just you've been an artist now for almost 40 years.
Well, since I was 5, really, but
right. But I mean,
I did my first show when I was 14.
Okay.
So a long time, 50 years.
Wow. You look good.
Yeah.
Must be all the turpentine.
Excuse me?
Must be all the turpentine.
Yeah, I inhale that constantly.
Yeah, it preserves you. But what has your journey been like? When you can reflect, and you have had this impact on the world. I mean, not only are you a great artist, you're a historical artist. You have, made your mark in history, and that will never go away. Reflecting now, what are your thoughts on this journey that you've been on as an artist?
Well, actually, I feel most fortunate to have had the privilege of spending a life painting. And that was my dream as a child, was I just want to be a painter and a sculptor. And that happened, and I've been going with it ever since. I try not to think too much about the past and focus on what's going on right now. And some of that marine and everything else that I was doing seems like it was somebody else. I've just moved on from that in so many ways.
It's great.
I'm fortunate. I'm just happy to be painting every day and happy to be alive.
Have you felt like your work, and I agree with you, have you felt like over time, the different styles that you've created and now what you're evolving into this mastery? I mean, I personally think the work that you're doing now, I see such a refinement. It's like, that aged wine that, you taste it and you're just, wow, there's no words to describe it really. Have you felt like those paintings and that series have defined chapters in your life that you can look back at the work and almost feel like, oh, I remember when I was in that chapter? Because all of our lives we have chapters, right?
Yeah, yeah. My work is really a diary of my life. When you go back and look at, because mostly what I've done is paint. Most of my life, in all these years, I've painted 80–90% of the time I've been on this planet. So no doubt, it's actually, when you go back and look at my art, and I have memories for each of those pieces and what I was doing at that time. And yeah, that's my diary, Ruth-Ann.
It's a really great one. And I recommend to all you folks watching out there, if you haven't had a chance, you can just do a Google search and you can see these works that, go back from the very beginning, and then you can see the evolution. And now, if you want to see these new works, what's the best way for folks to, access your work? Do you have a website, or what?
It's robertlynnelson.com.
Okay. Great.
Simple as that. I'm on Instagram daily, posting like crazy all the time. Instagram, you can see new work and old work. You see work I was doing 30 years ago and 40 years ago, and work that I did yesterday. And I post a lot of videos of me painting and talking about the work. IG is the best.
Yeah, I agree. I love it. Hey,
yeah,
are you
too.
still...
I don't have to say too much, and
Exactly.
I could just show the art.
And it's instant, which is nice. You just point and click. I was going to ask you, are you still surfing?
Not lately. I wish.
Do they let you go
I
out on the water if you wanted to go out? Can you?
Oh yeah, yeah. You just can't sit on the beach.
Okay, got it.
You can get out of your car and walk to the water.
Okay.
But I think it's changing. It might even be changing today. Things are opening up quickly here because the state's done so well. But
Yeah,
I've been in the water once since this happened with Margot, my other daughter. We went swimming in Kaanapali. Nobody on the beaches. I mean, virtually nobody, Ruth-Ann, just her and I, in a beach where there's usually thousands of people.
Well, turtles might be hatching. I've seen those.
Oh, yeah.
Which is really wonderful. Another wonderful thing. And can folks, and I know that in the past you were doing some commissions. If somebody is looking at your work now and they want to commission a work, can they contact you and work with you on that? Okay.
Well, shouldn't they contact you, EC?
Or contact me. I mean, we like to spread the love, and you can contact me and you can come through me either way. But what a pleasure having you on the show today. Yeah, I'm gonna point people to your website. I'm gonna put it up here. I just want to tell you that you were one of the main artists that influenced me as a 20-year-old, and you've continued to inspire me because you do not sit still. You're just constantly growing, constantly bringing beauty to the art world. And at the end of the day, this is what it's all about, Robert. And you as an artist, you're bringing probably the most important thing to the world, and that is creating beauty based on what you see on your one talent. And that's going to be here forever, not only for us as viewers, but for the next generations and many, many generations after that, should we all still be here.
Absolutely.
So I want to thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your kind words. We have to hang out. We have to get together.
We will very soon. As soon as this is over, folks, I'm going to Hawaii. And as you know, I've been doing a little bit more of an in-depth documentary series, Art of the City. And I have Robert here on my hit list to come over and spend a couple days with and really get the full story, So I'm excited.
Absolutely. I'd love to.
That'll be great. All right, my friend, be blessed. Thank you for being on the show, folks. Robert Lyn Nelson. I can't really say much more than what a great artist.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. I'll see you soon.
Bye, everybody.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
That is one of the most important artists living today. And there are many out there. some that are on their way up, and some that have really secured that place in history. And Robert Lyn Nelson is definitely one of those. I highly recommend, if you haven't had an opportunity to research this artist, if you go online and put in his name, you're going to see so many articles. And he was one of the biggest artists in Asia as well. I know that the Japanese collectors went crazy for his work in the 80s and 90s and still do. But it's always my good pleasure to bring these artists on, because you folks are going to have this memory as you collect art of these artists that you got to see live here, live streaming. So it's my passion. It's been such a great journey, even though we've all been on lockdown. I have really been able to connect with some people that have been big influence in my life. So I hope you've enjoyed that too. And again, we're going to hold off on this Friday's interview because the gallery will be opening very safely. So we are going to be practicing social distancing. We'll be only letting in a few folks at a time. For those of you who have been at my gallery here in Solana Beach, it's pretty large, so you can get lost in here. You don't have to be afraid, but we will still be wearing masks. We'll have hand sanitizers at the door when you walk in. And it'll be an interesting experience. I've never really been in a gallery when people wore masks, so that'll be a first. But stop by. Our hours are going to be Wednesday through Sunday, and we are going to be open from 10 to 3. So limited hours. We're going to kind of take this thing slowly, and then we'll keep you posted. But next week, I will be on Monday. Same place, same time, 1 p.m., Art of the City live streaming here. So I hope that you have a great rest of the week, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Have a wonderful time slowly getting back into society. And let's reflect and just remember all of the things that we learned from this time. The important things in life are really our family, our friends, and of course, those things that are going to last forever, creativity. So be blessed, have a great day, and I'll see you on Monday.